My daughter's hollow eyes stared up at me, her small voice trembling. Grandma threw my dinner in the trash again. The words hit like a punch, rage and heartbreak colliding in my chest. It started innocently enough. My mother-in-law, Margaret, had always been the picture of warmth baking cookies, knitting blankets, the kind of grandma you'd see in a holiday movie. When she moved in with us after her husband passed, I thought it was a blessing. My daughter, Lily, was 6, all curls and giggles, and I figured Margaret's presence would wrap her in love while I juggled my new job. My husband, Tom, was thrilled too. His mother's cooking was legendary, and her stories kept Lily enchanted. But legends, I'd learn, often hide shadows. The first sign was subtle. Lily started picking at her meals, her plate often half empty. "I'm not hungry," she'd mumble, her eyes darting to Margaret, who'd smile and say, "Kids these days are so picky." I chalked it up to a phase Lily was growing. Maybe she was just fussy. But then her clothes started hanging loose. Her cheeks, once plump, grew gaunt. I'd catch her staring at the fridge late at night, her tiny hands hovering but never grabbing anything. "Sweetie, why aren't you eating?" I'd ask. She'd shrug, her lips sealed, fear flickering in her eyes. One night, I found her curled up in bed, clutching her stuffed bunny, whispering, "Grandma says I don't deserve dessert if I don't finish dinner." My stomach twisted. Margaret's cooking was abundant roast chicken, mashed potatoes, apple pies that filled the house with warmth. How could Lily not be finishing her meals? I started watching closer. Margaret was always in the kitchen, insisting on handling meals. "You're so busy, Sarah," she'd say, waving me off. "Let me take care of our girl." I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was family. But then came the night that cracked everything open. I came home early from work, the house quiet except for a clatter in the kitchen. I peeked in and saw Margaret scraping a plate of spaghetti, Lily's favorite, into the trash. Lily sat at the table, her fork frozen midair, tears welling. "You didn't eat fast enough," Margaret said, her voice sharp. No trace of the doting grandma. Wasteful children don't get fed. My blood ran cold. I stepped in, heart pounding. "What are you doing?" I demanded. Margaret spun around, her face a mask of surprise, then defiance. "Teaching her a lesson," she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. I sent Lily to her room and faced Margaret. "Why are you throwing out her food?" My voice shook, but I kept it low, not wanting Lily to hear. Margaret crossed her arm, her lips thinning. "She needs discipline. Sarah, you're too soft. Kids like her grow up spoiled, ungrateful. My mother did the same to me, and I turned out fine." Her words dripped with conviction, but all I could see was my daughter's shrinking frame, her fear. "She's starving." "Margaret," I said, my voice breaking. "She's 6 years old, and you're starving her." Margaret's eyes narrowed. "You don't understand. She's manipulative, always whining for snacks. I'm saving her from herself." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This wasn't the woman who'd rocked Lily to sleep as a baby. This was someone else, someone cruel, hiding behind a grandmother's smile. I wanted to scream, to throw her out, but I needed answers. "How long has this been going on?" I pressed. She shrugged. Unapologetic. "A few weeks. She'll learn." A few weeks? My daughter had been hungry for weeks, and I hadn't seen it. Guilt clawed at me, but rage burned hotter. I called Tom, who was away on a work trip, and told him everything. His silence on the phone was deafening. Then he said, "I'll be home tomorrow. Don't let her near Lily." That night, I moved Lily's bed into my room, locking the door. She clung to me, whispering. I didn't want to make Grandma mad. I held her, promising she'd never go hungry again. The next day, Tom arrived, his face a storm of disbelief and anger. We sat Margaret down in the living room, Lily playing upstairs out of earshot. "Explain yourself," Tom said, his voice low but lethal. Margaret doubled down. "You both coddle her. She needs to learn respect, gratitude. Hunger teaches that. Tom's hands shook. You starved my daughter, he said, each word a blade. You don't get to decide what she needs. Margaret's facade cracked. Her voice rose, defensive. I raised you, Tom. You were never spoiled, never weak. I'm doing this for her. I couldn't stay silent. You're not doing this for her, I snapped. You're punishing her for existing. You're punishing me for not being the daughter-in-law you wanted. Her eyes widened, but she didn't deny it. I'd always sensed her resentment, my career, my independence, the way I raised Lily differently from her strict, old-school ways. This wasn't about discipline. It was control. We told her to leave. She packed her bags, her face a mix of defiance and shame, muttering about how we'd regret it, how Lily would grow up soft. Tom drove her to a hotel, and I spent the day cooking with Lily pancakes, her favorite, stacked high with whipped cream. Her laughter was a balm, but her thin wrists haunted me. I took her to a doctor the next day. She was malnourished but would recover with care. The doctor's words, "She's been deprived for some time," felt like a knife in my heart. Rebuilding trust with Lily was slow. She'd flinch when I set food in front of her, as if expecting it to vanish. I let her eat whenever she wanted, keeping the pantry stocked with her favorites. Tom and I talked late into the nights, grappling with guilt. How had we missed this? How had Margaret's love twisted into something so cruel? We cut contact with her, but the questions lingered. Was she always this way, or did grief over her husband's death break something in her I wanted to understand, but not at Lily's expense? Months passed, and Lily's cheeks filled out again. Her giggles returned, louder, freer, but the scars remained not just hers, but mine. I'd trusted family, and family had betrayed us. I started volunteering at a local food bank, driven by a need to ensure no child went hungry. Lily came with me sometimes, handing out apples with a smile that could light up the world. It was her way of healing, and mine too. Yet the confrontation with Margaret never fully left me. I'd see her face in my dreams, hear her justifications. Was she a monster, or a woman broken by her own upbringing? I'd never know. What I did know was that Lily deserved better love that didn't come with conditions. A home where she was safe. What would you do if you discovered someone you trusted was hurting someone you love? Where do you draw the line between discipline and cruelty? Share your thoughts. How do we balance justice, family, and forgiveness in the face of betrayal?